What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So today is actually a very special day because today is actually my birthday, December 5th, proud Sagittarius. However, do not ask me how old I am turning today because it's honestly none of your business. I'm over 18 and that's the only thing you need to know. So, yeah. This episode of Joe Winko Talk is going to be a bit personal. So if you're homophobic, do not watch this episode or any of my videos for that matter. I just decided to talk about this in my birthday episode of Joe Winko Talk because this video came up on my channel feed on YouTube from a YouTube channel that I follow called Legal Eagle. And basically what the video was, it was of this lawyer guy who I watch from time to time. I actually forgot what his name was, but I'll have a picture of him on the screen somewhere. This lawyer guy who was basically complaining and bitching about how President Biden pardoning his son, Hunter Biden, was an abuse of President Biden's power. And it kind of struck a nerve with me when I saw that. You guys all know that I have a thing for Hunter Biden. He is my husband in The Sims 1. But even if I didn't have a thing for Hunter Biden, it still would have struck a nerve with me because the stuff Hunter Biden was being charged with was honestly really stupid. Basically, Hunter Biden was being charged for gun possession, and he wasn't supposed to own a gun because of his drug use. Like, as if a drug addict doesn't have the right to defend themselves, honestly. And he was also facing time in prison for a federal tax case. I have a whole description of what he was being charged with right here. Let me show it to you guys real quick. Hunter Biden was awaiting sentencing later this month in 2 federal cases. In June, he became the first child of a sitting U.S. president to be criminally convicted in a case relating to his gun ownership. He was found guilty by a jury in Delaware of 3 charges for lying about his drug use on a form when buying a handgun. So, as I said earlier, like, just because you're addicted to drugs means you can't defend yourself. I mean, like, the drugs he was doing, he wasn't doing anything, I guess cocaine or something. Now, I never used drugs before, but I never heard of someone being a drug addict and going on a mass killing spree because of it, really. Usually it's a person who's like mentally ill and really hateful and everything. Hunter Biden does not fit any of that. He doesn't seem like a hateful person who will kill a whole bunch of people with a gun, so I don't know why they're saying that he wasn't allowed to have one. But let me move on and read you the rest of the stuff he was being charged with. He was also awaiting sentencing for pleading guilty in September in a federal tax case that centered on whether he paid enough tax from 2016 to 2019. The 9 charges included failure to file and pay his taxes, tax evasion, and filing a false return. He faced up to 25 years in prison in the gun case. That's bogus. They don't need to give him that much time, and 17 years for the tax case, though he was likely to get much shorter tariffs and to serve the 2 sentences concurrently, expert told the New York Times. He absolutely deserved to be pardoned for that. I mean, he wasn't harming anyone. Why do you want to send Hunter Biden to prison? I mean, if the drugs that he's addicted to, I mean, I don't really know anything about his drug usage. I mean, I did read up about his drug usage online, but if that's still a problem that he's going through, then he just needs, like, help and counseling. You don't need to lock him away in prison. I don't think any drug addicts should be put in prison, honestly. I honestly think they should just have, like, mandatory counseling and mandatory help to get them unaddicted to drugs, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because Hunter Biden is a stud. He absolutely is a stud, but even if he wasn't a stud, even if he was ugly, Well, even if he was ugly, I would still like him because I'm a freak who has a thing for ugly guys. But even if Hunter Biden was ugly, I still wouldn't think that he needs to go to prison for drug use. Or for getting a gun to protect himself. Really. That's usually the only reason why people have guns. And it wasn't like he was buying a fucking AR-15, it was a handgun. But I really don't think drug addicts deserve to be in prison. Like, I live in a redneck hillbilly town in northern Florida, and I've met so many damn guys who are addicted to meth. And it really does get annoying because they're so far out of it and so far lost, you can't really do anything with them. That's my best way of explaining it. But they don't need to be locked up in prison for it. They need counseling and they need help. That's what people like that deserve, not to be sent to prison. There's even one woman who I watch on YouTube from time to time. Her name is Jessica Kent. Now, I don't remember what drugs she was addicted to, but she did either 3 or 2 years in prison. I know it was around 2011 to 2013, or 2011 to 2014 when she was in prison in Arkansas. And I felt really sorry for her. She talks about her prison experience in her videos, and she's one of the coolest and nicest people on YouTube, honestly. I also follow her on TikTok and on Instagram, and I really don't think she deserved to go to prison. Like, yeah, she needed help, but she didn't deserve to go to prison. She was also pregnant when she went to prison, and apparently they had her handcuffed to a hospital bed in prison when she gave birth, and she almost died because the prison conditions are absolutely horrible, and she said she barely survived. She did not deserve to suffer that way. I feel really sorry for Jessica. I'm happy for her because she did turn her life around, and I'm happy that she's doing good. But why did she have to go through all that? I don't think we should put any drug addicts in prison. I think we should just counsel them and help them. That's really what they need. Also, do more research on stuff to get them unaddicted to drugs. Because I remember reading this online. Well, no, I saw this in a documentary a long time ago. There's actually one medication that heroin addicts can take to get them unaddicted to heroin. It's either heroin or meth, that this drug they take every day, well, this medication that they take every day, gets them unaddicted to heroin or meth. And I think more research needs to be done on that, because drug addicts are actually suffering, really. But I don't find a problem at all with President Biden pardoning his son, Hunter Biden. I'm glad that Hunter Biden got pardoned for all of that, because he really doesn't deserve to be in prison. And obviously I have a thing for Hunter Biden. I mean, I know that he doesn't know that I exist, honestly. But I was just thinking of that. It is kind of strange that I have a thing for Hunter Biden and also his dad, President Biden. Yeah, I've had a thing for President Biden, honestly, because I actually like my fruit extra ripe. That means that I really like old guys. I was even saying that it's I don't know, I think they call it daddy's syndrome when you're attracted to older men. But a lot of my friends I was talking to online were telling me that if I like President Biden, it's granddad syndrome. And Donald Trump was also like mocking President Biden for being too old. But Donald Trump is only like a few years younger than President Biden, honestly. I mean, Trump is almost just as old as he is. They could have even went to high school together. I actually didn't know about Hunter Biden until I saw a YouTube video explaining all the stuff that Hunter Biden been through with drug addiction and everything like that. And my heart goes out to Hunter Biden. I feel sorry for him. Like, in case you guys want to know why I like Hunter Biden so much, well, obviously, yeah, the one thing is because he's really handsome and he seems really nice and I like his body too. But another thing is because, like, he's struggling as well. I mean, like, when a girl likes a guy who has problems, like, usually it seems like the girl is drawn to the guy because, like, he has that, like, bad boy image or something like that. That's my best way of explaining it. I'm sorry if I have difficulty explaining it. It's because of my autism. But it's not really the case for me. The reason why I feel sorry for Hunter Biden is because he's struggling with the issues he has. And I feel like that's something that I relate to him with in somewhat of a level. I mean, I'm not a drug addict myself. I mean, I do suffer with mental health, especially this past year, 2024. 2024 has not been a good year for me at all. But that's one reason why I like Hunter Biden, because he's struggling with his issues, just like I am. And that's kind of the reason why I made him my husband in my Sims 1 gaming live stream. Well, that's obviously not the only reason. The other reason why is because he's really handsome and he seems really cool. And I like him a lot, honestly. Well, who doesn't have a thing for Hunter Biden? But yeah, I made him my husband in The Sims 1. We're living in Magic Town together. We spend all of our days playing video games with each other, and we even went on a vacation to Vacation Island, and we're going to learn more about spellcasting in my future live streams. And he also is older than I am. Like, I didn't want to tell you guys how old I'm turning today, but I looked up the date Hunter Biden was born. He was born on February 4th, 1970, so he is old enough to be my dad. He is old enough to be my dad. He is old enough to be my dad. Also, he was born in 1970, so that makes him... I'm Gen Z, but don't want to tell you guys how old I am, but I'm Gen Z, one of the founders of Gen Z. But he was born in 1970, so that makes him Gen X. And guys from Gen X actually make the best lovers, in my opinion. Remind me to do an episode of Joe Winko talk about that. I mentioned that before in a post on Reddit, and for some stupid reason, everyone on the Gen X section of Reddit got angry and upset with me. Well, they didn't get angry or upset. They just got weirded out by it. But I know that if I would have been a female posting about that, I would have had a whole bunch of older men hitting me up. But, yeah. So that's another reason why I like Hunter Biden. And when it comes to his zodiac sign, he is also an Aquarius. Now, I don't really follow zodiac signs very often, but I do think they're somewhat interesting. Like, I'm proud to be a Sagittarius, and I know I do not get along with Scorpios at all, but I'm proud to be a Sagittarius, and Hunter Biden's an Aquarius. And it turns out that him and I are absolutely compatible at a very high level. Under love compatibility, him and I would be 88% compatible. I remember looking that up when I made him my husband in The Sims 1, and I was just like, whoa, are you serious? That's awesome. So yeah, I was definitely hyped about that. However, I know that Hunter Biden is straight, unfortunately. Well, you don't know that for sure. I mean, just because he has a bunch of porn videos of him doing stuff with women doesn't mean he's only attracted to women. But I'm sure that if he was also attracted to men, he would have definitely made that in public. I guess. You never know, really. But yeah, be awesome to have him as my husband in real life, but don't think that's possible. The crazy man chooses Joe Winko. Joe Winko does not choose the crazy man. That's how it works, really, since I'm trying to find a crazy obsessive lover. Still trying to find that. Haven't found that at all, honestly. But one day I will. One day I will. Just gotta keep holding out for it. That's all I can do. I was also very upset about Donald Trump winning the election because I honestly did not want him to win at all. But I'm trying to stay hopeful and positive about it, really. Trying to hope that things aren't as bad as the extreme liberals are claiming it's going to be as bad as. There's actually one transsexual girl I follow on YouTube. I know I mentioned her before. Blair White. I'm not sure if she was the one that said this, but I mean, she follows Donald Trump and she voted for Trump and everything. But I remember her saying that the people who voted for Kamala Harris and President Biden, that they're like distancing themselves from people who voted for Trump. Like, people who voted for Trump aren't allowed to come to their family Thanksgiving dinners at all because the rest of their relatives voted for Kamala Harris and they don't like each other anymore. Basically, anyone who was friends or in a relationship with someone who voted for Donald Trump when they voted for President Biden or Kamala Harris, they're basically cutting each other off and everything and separating themselves from each other. Blair White was talking about that, and Blair White was saying, oh, it's all the Kamala Harris people who are cutting contact with the people who voted for Trump. It's never the other way around. But that honestly is not true at all. Every single guy who ghosted me, if you guys follow my channel page and seen every single guy who ghosted me, the pictures of me with every single guy who ghosted me, all of those people, every single guy who I'm pictured with, all of them voted for Donald Trump. And obviously I didn't, but I know for a fact that every single one of those guys you see with me in those pictures voted for Donald Trump. And they're all the ones who walked away from me. So Blair White is apparently incorrect about that. I even remember when I posted that one picture on Instagram, that one picture of me getting hugged and sniffed by President Biden. I get way too excited and way too happy when I think about that. I remember when I posted that on Instagram, one guy who actually ghosted me, but apparently still follows me on Instagram, even though he doesn't reply to any of my messages at all. He actually commented on that picture and typed in, oh, are you still going to vote for him now? And I believe I typed in, well, if I knew him, he probably wouldn't ignore all my messages like someone, or something along the lines like that. Need to double check that comment. But yeah, he never replied to me. And that was sad, because I actually liked that guy. The guy who left the comment, even though he voted for Trump back in 2020 and I voted for Biden back in 2020, I didn't really let that drive a rift between us, but he did. And it's really sad, honestly. It's luck of the draw, honestly. As I said earlier, the crazy man chooses Joe Winko. Joe Winko does not choose the crazy man. I just have the worst luck with guys I talk to. And it's sad. Well, anyhow, that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. I wanted this to be a short episode of Joe Winko Talk, and I was trying to keep it simple, because every year I do a birthday episode of Joe Winko Talk, and I figured this was a good thing to talk about. I'm glad that Hunter Biden got pardoned on all the stuff he was getting charged with. And I obviously don't think that it was an abuse of power at all. If anyone's doing an abuse of power, it's obviously Trump, but you guys all know the deal with that. Don't even get me started. I'm just hoping that things won't be as bad during his second term of presidency as they were last time. Gotta stay hopeful, that's all you can do. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. I might do a gaming live stream later after I get this video edited and uploaded. And yeah, so don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on X, Instagram, and Tumblr. I finally remembered to call Twitter by its new name now. And also, don't forget to subscribe to me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odysee, because YouTube is getting really stupid with their rules, and we have to end their whole video sharing monopoly that they have, because it's really stupid and really annoying. So yeah, that's basically it. Peace out, people.